The stars looked different this far from Earth. Corporal Kim Tae-yang pressed his hand against the cold window of the ship and stared at the alien sun ahead. It burned purple instead of yellow. Everything about this mission felt wrong in his gut, but he kept that thought to himself. "Stop daydreaming, Tae." Lieutenant Choi Hana walked up behind him and handed him a cup of coffee. "We arrive in 3 hours. You should review the language files again." Tae-yang took the coffee and smiled. "I've reviewed them 20 times already. The Valorans don't even speak with their mouths most of the time. They use telepathy. That's why we brought you. You're the only one who can actually pronounce their spoken language." Hana patted his shoulder. "Ambassador Park is counting on you." The ship hummed around them. The Hanseong's Pride was Earth's finest diplomatic vessel, built specifically for this mission. Humanity had only made contact with alien life 15 years ago, and every new species they met was a gamble. The Valorans were the most advanced civilization humans had encountered yet. This meeting could change everything for Earth. Tae-yang walked through the narrow corridors toward the briefing room. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood at the front looking tired. She had barely slept during the 3-month journey. The weight of representing all humanity sat heavy on her shoulders. "Good, you're here." Park gestured to a chair. "Sit. We need to talk about what happens when we land." Tae-yang sat down next to Dr. Lee Suman, the expedition's scientist. She gave him a nervous smile. She had been studying Valoran biology for years but had never met one in person. The Valorans judge species by their mental abilities, Park explained. "They're all telepaths. They can read emotions and share thoughts directly. To them, we're like children who haven't learned to speak yet." "That's insulting," said Kang Minho, one of the security officers. "That's politics," Park replied. "We need them more than they need us. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their medicine could cure diseases we can't even treat. Their ships travel faster than anything we've built. So we smile, we bow, and we show them that humans have value even without telepathy." The ship shook slightly as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Through the windows, Tae-yang saw a world covered in crystal structures that reflected light in impossible ways. Cities floated in the air, held up by technology that looked like magic. Gardens hung between buildings filled with plants that glowed in the twilight. "It's beautiful," Suman whispered. The landing took 30 minutes. When the doors finally opened, the air smelled like rain and flowers. A group of Valorans waited for them on the platform. They were tall and thin, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their eyes were large and entirely black. They wore robes that seemed to move on their own. Ambassador Park stepped out first. Tae-yang followed close behind, ready to translate if needed. His heart pounded in his chest. One of the Valorans stepped forward. When it spoke, the words came both as sounds and as feelings directly in Tae-yang's mind. "Welcome, humans. I am Speaker Vel. The High Council awaits your presence." Tae-yang managed to respond in their language, his throat struggling with the strange sounds. "We are honored by your invitation." Speaker Vel's skin rippled with colors Tae-yang couldn't name. "Amusement, maybe? Or surprise? You speak our ancient tongue. Interesting. Most species cannot form these sounds." They were led through the Crystal Palace. Every surface reflected and refracted light, creating patterns that hurt to look at. Valorans moved through the halls like ghosts, silent and graceful. Some stopped to stare at the human delegation. Their skin flashed with different colors as they felt various emotions about the strange visitors. The throne room was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that Tae-yang couldn't see the top. Hundreds of Valorans gathered there, all dressed in elaborate robes. At the far end, on a platform that floated above the floor, sat the royal family. The emperor was old, his skin faded to a dull gray. Next to him sat a younger Valoran whose skin shifted between deep blue and bright silver. She wore a crown made of light itself. "The princess," Suman whispered. "Princess Yuna. She's the emperor's only daughter." Tae-yang looked at the princess and felt something strange happen in his chest. She was beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with human standards. The way she moved, the way her skin changed colors, the way she held herself with quiet confidence, everything about her demanded attention. The emperor spoke, and everyone in the room heard his words in their minds. "Humans, you come seeking friendship. What can your species offer the Valoran Empire?" Ambassador Park stepped forward. For 2 hours she presented Earth's case. She showed recordings of human art, music, and literature. She explained human history and philosophy. She offered trade agreements and cultural exchanges. The Velerans listened politely, but their skin remained neutral colors. They were not impressed. During a break in the negotiations, servants brought out food and drink. The humans were given their own area to rest. Taeyang stood by a window, watching the alien city below. He felt exhausted from the stress of the day. That's when he saw her approach. Princess Yuna walked toward the human section, and the crowd parted for her. She stopped a few meters away, studying the strange aliens with curiosity. Taeyang couldn't stop staring. He knew it was rude, but he couldn't help himself. She was like nothing he had ever seen. Without thinking, without meaning to, he whispered in Korean, "I wish I could marry her." He said it so quietly that even Hana, standing next to him, didn't hear. It was just a foolish thought spoken out loud, a moment of weakness. But Princess Yuna turned. Her eyes locked onto his. Her skin flashed bright gold, then deep red, then a color he had never seen before. She walked directly toward him, moving through the crowd like water. She stopped in front of him. Everyone in the room suddenly became quiet. The princess stared at Taeyang with those black eyes, and then he heard her voice in his mind, clear as crystal, speaking in perfect Korean. "Then you shall." Taeyang's coffee cup fell from his hand and shattered on the floor. The sound echoed through the silent throne room. He stood frozen, unable to breathe, unable to think, unable to understand what had just happened. Princess Yuna smiled, a human gesture she must have learned from studying their species. Then she turned and walked away, her skin still flashing that strange, unknown color. Ambassador Park grabbed Taeyang's arm. "What just happened? What did she say to you?" Taeyang couldn't answer. He could only stare as the princess disappeared into the crowd. His entire world had just changed with 3 simple words, and he had no idea what came next. Hana picked up the broken cup pieces. "Tae, are you okay?" He wasn't okay. He was the furthest thing from okay. Because an alien princess had just heard his most private thought, and instead of being insulted or amused, she had made him a promise. The diplomatic mission had just become very, very complicated. The next morning, everything went wrong at once. Taeyang woke up to find Ambassador Park standing over his bed with her arms crossed. She did not look happy. "Get dressed. The princess has requested you as her personal cultural liaison. The High Council approved it an hour ago." Taeyang sat up too fast and hit his head on the bunk above. "What? That's impossible." "Apparently not." Park's voice was cold. "Care to explain what happened yesterday?" "I don't know. I said something. To myself, in Korean. She shouldn't have been able to hear me. But she did." Park rubbed her temples. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The princess of the most powerful empire in this sector is interested in you. That's a political nightmare." Dr. Suman appeared in the doorway. "Actually, Ambassador, this could work in our favor." "If the princess likes us and if the princess likes him," Park interrupted, "and her father disapproves, we could start a war." "This is delicate. Taeyang, you will be professional. You will be polite. You will not encourage any kind of personal relationship. Understood?" Taeyang nodded, even though his heart was racing. He didn't understand what was happening. Why would a princess care about some random human soldier? 2 hours later, he stood in a private garden within the palace. Princess Yuna sat on a bench made of crystal, watching him with those black eyes. Her skin was a calm blue color. "You're nervous," she said, and this time she spoke out loud instead of using telepathy. Her voice sounded like music. "Your heart is beating very fast. I can feel it from here. I'm sorry, Princess. I don't understand why you asked for me. Because you're interesting." She stood and walked closer. "My people share everything through our minds. We know each other's thoughts before they're even finished. There are no secrets, no mysteries. But you, I cannot read you. I can feel your emotions, but not your thoughts. It's strange, exciting." Taeyang swallowed hard. "On Earth, we consider that normal. We can't read minds, and I know. I've been studying your species all night." She gestured, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed images of Earth, oceans, mountains, cities. You live in such isolation, each of you trapped in your own mind, unable to share directly with others. It should make you weak. But instead you created this. The hologram changed. It showed human art, paintings, sculptures, music, dance. It showed humans writing letters, singing songs, telling stories around fires. You learned to express what you feel because you cannot simply show it. You created entire languages just to describe emotions that my people share instantly. You write poetry about loneliness and connection. You make music that makes others feel what you feel. It's beautiful and sad. And fascinating. Taeyang stared at the images. He had never thought about it that way. We just do what we have to do. Exactly. Yuna's skin flashed gold. That's what makes humans special. You don't have our advantages, but you found other ways. You're survivors. Creators. You feel things deeply because you know how easily those feelings can be misunderstood or lost. They talked for hours. Yuna asked questions about everything. Human families, human love, human dreams. Taeyang tried his best to answer, even when he didn't have good words for it. On Valora, Yuna explained, when two people want to bond, they share their memories. Every moment of their lives, good and bad, happy and sad. They become part of each other. How do humans do it? We talk. We spend time together. We learn about each other slowly, piece by piece. Sometimes it takes years to really know someone. That sounds lonely. Sometimes it is. But there's something nice about discovering someone gradually, like opening a gift one layer at a time. Yuna's skin shifted to a warm purple. I would like to discover you, Kim Taeyang. Will you let me? Before he could answer, a door burst open. A Velaran wearing dark robes stormed into the garden. His skin flashed angry red. Princess, this is inappropriate. The council demands you end this meeting immediately. Yuna's skin went cold blue. Chancellor Vex, I don't remember inviting you. Your father sent me. This human is not suitable company for someone of your status. Vex turned his black eyes on Taeyang. No offense intended, but your species is primitive. You lack the mental capacity for proper civilization. Taeyang felt anger rise in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. We might not be telepaths, but we're not primitive. You wage war on each other over resources you could share. You destroy your own planet's environment. You lie to each other because you cannot hear truth directly. These are the actions of children. We're getting better. We're learning. Perhaps, in another 1,000 years, you might reach our level. But Princess Yuna cannot wait 1,000 years for you to grow up. Yuna stood. That's enough, Chancellor. You forget yourself. I decide who I spend time with, not you and not the council. Vex's skin flashed dark purple, fear mixed with anger. Your father will hear about this. Good. Tell him I'm doing exactly what he asked. I'm studying the humans to determine their worth. How can I judge them if I don't spend time with them? The Chancellor left, but his anger filled the room like smoke even after he was gone. Taeyang let out a long breath. I should go. I don't want to cause problems for you. You're not causing problems. Vex and his supporters are causing problems. They believe Velarans are superior to all other species. They don't want alliances. They want servants. Yuna took his hand and her skin was warm. Please stay. Teach me more about humans, so he stayed. Day after day, Taeyang met with Princess Yuna. He told her stories about Earth. He showed her pictures of his home in Seoul, his family, his childhood. He explained human customs and holidays. He taught her Korean words and showed her how to write them. In return, she taught him about Valoran culture. She explained their history, their art, their way of thinking. She showed him how to read the colors of Velaran skin, blue for calm, gold for joy, red for passion or anger, purple for fear, green for curiosity. Lieutenant Hana watched from a distance, always nearby to protect him. You're playing with fire, she warned. The princess is important. If this goes wrong, I know. But I can't just ignore her. She's amazing. She's curious about everything. She wants to understand us, really understand us, not just study us like lab specimens. I see how you look at her, Tae. You're falling for her. Is that so wrong? It might be impossible. She's a different species, from a different world, with responsibilities you can't imagine. I know, Taeyang said quietly, but when I'm with her, none of that seems to matter. That night, Yuna asked him about human love. How do you know when you love someone? Taeyang thought carefully. It's different for everyone. But I think, when being with them feels like coming home, when their happiness matters more than your own, when you want to protect them and support them and help them be their best self. Do you have someone like that on Earth? No, I've never felt that way about anyone. He paused. Until now. The words hung in the air between them. Yuna's skin went through a dozen colors, gold, red, purple, blue, colors he didn't know. Finally, she settled on a soft pink. My people would say this is impossible. But humans do impossible things, don't they? We try. Then I will try too. She stood close to him, closer than ever before. I want to know everything about you, Kim Tae-yang. Not through telepathy. The human way, slowly, one piece at a time. Like opening a gift, Tae-yang smiled. That could take a long time. Good, Princess Yuna said, and her skin glowed like starlight. I have time, but she was wrong. Time was running out faster than either of them knew. Because in the shadows of the Crystal Palace, Chancellor Vex was making plans. And those plans did not include humans being welcomed into Valoran society. The summons came at dawn. 2 royal guards appeared at Tae-yang's door and told him the High Council required his presence immediately. Ambassador Park looked worried but nodded for him to go. Lieutenant Hana insisted on coming along. The council chamber was a massive room with walls that seemed to go on forever. 50 Valoran leaders sat in a circle, their skin colors shifting as they discussed matters in silent telepathy. In the center stood Chancellor Vex, his skin dark red with satisfaction. Princess Yuna was there too, standing beside her father. Her skin was pale white, the color of fear. The Emperor spoke and his voice filled everyone's mind. Kim Tae-yang, you have spent much time with my daughter. You claim that humans have worth despite your lack of mental abilities. Chancellor Vex has proposed a test to prove your claims. Tae-yang's stomach dropped. What kind of test, Your Majesty? Chancellor Vex stepped forward. 3 trials, each designed to test the abilities that make Valorans superior. If you complete them, we will accept that humans have value. If you fail, your species will leave our space and never return. That's not fair, Hana shouted. You're testing him for abilities humans don't have. That's like asking a fish to climb a tree. Precisely, Vex said with a smile. If humans wish to associate with Valorans as equals, they must prove they can accomplish what we can accomplish. Princess Yuna's skin flashed angry gold. Father, this is wrong. You're setting him up to fail. Perhaps, the Emperor said quietly, or perhaps he will surprise us. Kim Tae-yang, do you accept these trials? Tae-yang looked at Yuna. Her eyes were full of pain. If he refused, the humans would be sent away in shame. Earth would lose its chance at alliance with the most advanced species in the sector. But if he accepted, he would probably fail impossible tests. I accept, he said. Dr. Suman appeared at his side, slightly out of breath from running. I'm coming with you. Whatever these tests are, you'll need scientific support. The first trial began immediately. They took Tae-yang to a massive structure at the edge of the city, a maze made of black stone that seemed to absorb light. The Maze of Echoes, Chancellor Vex explained. It reads your thoughts and creates obstacles based on your fears. Valorans navigate it using telepathy, sensing the maze's intentions and finding the safe path. You have until sunset. If you're still inside when darkness falls, the maze will close on you. Permanently. Hana grabbed his arm. Don't do this, Tae. There has to be another way. There isn't. He squeezed her hand and then walked toward the entrance. The maze swallowed him immediately. One moment he could see the sky. The next he was surrounded by black walls on all sides. He couldn't even see his hands in front of his face. Then the whispers started. Voices that sounded like his parents, his friends, everyone he ever knew. They told him he wasn't good enough, that he would fail, that he was letting everyone down. Tae-yang closed his eyes and took a deep breath. You're not real, he said out loud. You're just the maze trying to scare me. He felt along the walls using touch instead of sight. The maze wanted him to panic, to run blindly. But humans had evolved in the dark. They knew how to move carefully, how to navigate by feel and sound. Hours passed. The voices grew louder, more personal. They showed him visions of Earth being destroyed because he failed. Of Princess Yuna hating him. Of his friends dying. But Tae-yang had learned something in his military training. Fear was just information. It told you what mattered, and what mattered was getting out of this maze. He noticed something the Valorans probably didn't. The maze's floor was slightly tilted. Water would flow downhill. Air would move from high pressure to low. He followed the slight grade, moving steadily in one direction. The exit appeared suddenly. He stumbled out into sunlight with an hour to spare. Princess Yuna ran to him, her skin flashing relief gold. How did you do it? The maze should have trapped you. I couldn't read its mind, so it couldn't read mine. I just followed basic physics. Chancellor Vex's skin was dark purple. Luck, the next trial will not be so easy. The second trial was worse. They brought Taeyang to a medical facility and placed a device on his head. Dr. Suman checked it and went pale. This is a psychic amplifier. It's going to hurt. The trial of shared pain, Vex explained. Velorens use this to break down mental barriers between bonded pairs. It creates intense psychic pressure. Most species go insane within minutes. You must endure for 1 hour. They activated the device before Taeyang could protest. The pain was like nothing he had ever felt. Not physical, but somehow worse. It was like having his thoughts ripped apart and examined, like being turned inside out. He screamed. He couldn't help it. But then he remembered something Dr. Suman had told him about Valoran biology. They experienced all pain as mental pain. They had no concept of physical suffering separate from mental suffering. Taeyang bit his tongue until it bled. The physical pain gave him something to focus on, something to anchor himself. Humans had evolved to handle physical pain differently than mental pain. It was a completely different system. He made it through the hour by creating physical pain every time the mental pain got too bad. When they finally removed the device, he collapsed, but he was conscious. Dr. Suman hugged him, crying. You did it. I don't know how, but you did it. Princess Yuna touched his face gently, her skin the softest blue he had ever seen. You're bleeding. I'm okay, he whispered. What's the third trial? Chancellor Vex looked genuinely surprised that Taeyang was still functional. The hunt for the Void Serpent. It's a creature that exists partially in another dimension. Velorens track it using telepathy, sensing the disturbance it creates in mental space. You have 3 days. This time they gave him supplies, a communicator, a tracking device, and a weapon. Hana insisted on coming along. Dr. Suman loaded them up with scientific equipment. The serpent appears near the crystal caves, Suman explained. According to records, it phases in and out of our dimension every few hours. Velorans sense when it's about to appear. You'll have to find another way. They spent 2 days studying the pattern. Taeyang noticed that right before the serpent appeared, there were small changes in air pressure and electromagnetic fields. The creature's interdimensional movement created measurable disturbances that had nothing to do with telepathy. On the 3rd day, they set a trap using electromagnetic nets and compressed air canisters. When the serpent began to phase in, the pressure change triggered the nets. The creature materialized fully, trapped and furious. Taeyang didn't kill it. That seemed wrong. Instead, they tranquilized it and brought it back to the council alive. The High Council was silent when they saw the captured serpent. Chancellor Vex's skin went through a dozen colors, settling on pale white shock. Impossible, he whispered. Possible, Taeyang corrected. Just not the way you expected. The Emperor stood slowly. You have completed 3 trials designed for telepaths using methods we never imagined. You have proven that humans can accomplish what Valorans accomplish, simply by approaching problems differently. Chancellor Vex, do you have anything to say? Vex's skin was dark purple. This proves nothing. He had help. He had luck. He had adaptability, Princess Yuna said firmly. He had creativity. He had the ability to think outside the boundaries that telepathy creates. These are human strengths. The Emperor looked at Taeyang for a long moment. You have earned my respect, Kim Taeyang, and you have earned the right to continue your friendship with my daughter, if that's what you both want. Taeyang looked at Princess Yuna. Her skin blazed gold and pink in colors he had no names for. Yes, he said, that's what I want. But Chancellor Vex's skin flashed dark red, rage barely controlled. He bowed to the Emperor and left the chamber quickly. Dr. Suman watched him go and whispered to Hana, That's the look of someone who just lost a battle but hasn't given up the war. She was right. The trials were over, but the real test was just beginning. Princess Yuna disappeared into the archives for 3 weeks. She sent messages to Taeyang saying she was studying, researching, learning everything she could about humanity. He worried about her, but Ambassador Park convinced him to give her space. Let her discover us on her own terms, Park said. It's better that way. During those weeks, the human delegation made progress with some of the younger Valorans. Dr. Suman gave lectures on human science. Hana demonstrated human flight techniques. Even Kang Minho taught interested Valorans about human martial arts, fighting without reading your opponent's mind. But the older generation, led by Chancellor Vex, remained hostile. They held their own meetings, whispering in telepathic spaces humans couldn't access. Finally, Princess Yuna emerged from the archives. She looked exhausted, her skin constantly shifting colors as if she couldn't settle on a single emotion. She requested an audience with the High Council immediately. Taeyang was allowed to attend as a witness. The throne room filled with Velerans, all curious about what the princess had to say. She stood in the center and holographic displays surrounded her. "I have spent these weeks studying humanity," she began. "Not just their present, but their history. Their entire story from beginning to now. And I have learned something that challenges everything we believe about telepathic species being superior." Chancellor Vex's skin flashed irritated red. "Princess, we don't need another lecture about human creativity." "This isn't about creativity," Yuna interrupted. "This is about survival." She activated the first display. It showed Earth's history. Ancient humans living in caves, hunting animals, gathering food. Humans evolved without telepathy. They couldn't share warnings instantly when predators approached. They couldn't coordinate hunts with shared thoughts. By our standards, they should have gone extinct. The images changed. Humans creating art on cave walls, developing language, building tools. Instead, they developed external memory. They painted pictures to remember important information. They created spoken language with complex grammar to share ideas precisely. They invented writing so knowledge could survive beyond one lifetime. More images appeared. Libraries, schools, the internet. They built entire systems to share information because they couldn't do it naturally. And those systems became more powerful than natural telepathy because they could store unlimited information and share it across time and space. The room was silent. Velerans watched with growing fascination as human history unfolded. Yuna showed them human conflicts next. Wars, violence, terrible acts of cruelty. Humans have done horrible things to each other. Without telepathy, they could lie easily. They could hate groups of other humans without knowing them personally. They created weapons that could destroy their entire planet. Chancellor Vex's skin showed satisfaction. "You see? They're dangerous." "I wasn't finished," Yuna said coldly. She changed the display. They also did this. The images shifted to show human cooperation. The formation of the United Nations. The International Space Station. The climate restoration project that saved Earth's environment. The first contact protocol that prevented panic when aliens arrived. Humans learned to cooperate without telepathy. They had to create laws, agreements, and social structures to hold their societies together. They had to choose to trust each other without being able to verify truth directly. And yes, they failed many times, but they kept trying. She showed recordings of human music, orchestras playing together, choirs singing, people dancing in perfect synchronization. They learned to create beauty together without sharing a single thought. Every musician has to listen, adjust, and respond in real time. It's coordination without telepathy. Then she showed human medicine. They heal each other without being able to feel each other's pain. Doctors have to ask questions, run tests, and make educated guesses. It should be impossible. But they've cured diseases and extended lifespans dramatically. The displays showed human families next. Parents with children, lovers holding hands, friends laughing together. They form bonds without sharing memories directly. Every relationship is built on communication, trust, and faith. They have to believe that others care about them without proof from telepathy, and somehow it works. They love deeply. Maybe more deeply than we do because they can never be absolutely certain that love is returned. Yuna's skin was bright gold now, passionate and convinced. Humans feel isolated in their own minds. They know loneliness in a way we never have, but that loneliness drove them to reach out, to connect, to create art and poetry and music all designed to bridge the gap between separate minds. She pulled up human poetry, verses about love and loss, hope and despair, connection and isolation. She played human songs about reaching for something beyond yourself. She showed paintings that tried to capture feelings that couldn't be easily expressed in words. We Velerans share everything instantly. We've never had to struggle to be understood. But humans have to fight for every moment of true connection. And maybe that makes those moments more precious to them. The room was completely silent now. Even Chancellor Vex had stopped showing angry colors. Princess Yuna turned to face her father directly. "I learned something else. When humans first encountered other species, they were terrified. They knew they were less advanced, more vulnerable. But they didn't respond with violence or submission. They responded with curiosity. They asked to learn. They offered friendship. They saw beings completely different from themselves and thought, how can we understand each other? Not how do we dominate or avoid each other? She gestured to the human delegation. Ambassador Park could have approached us with fear or aggression. Instead, she brought art and history. She showed us human culture and asked to learn about ours. Taeyang completed 3 impossible trials not with violence but with creativity. Dr. Suman studies our biology not to find weaknesses but to find common ground. Yuna's skin blazed, with colors Taeyang had never seen before. Father, members of the Council, humanity's lack of telepathy isn't a weakness that must be overcome. It's a different path that led to different strengths. They developed external technology because they lacked internal abilities. They learned persistence because they had to work harder for everything. They created rich emotional expression because they couldn't simply share feelings directly. She walked over to Taeyang and took his hand, in front of the entire council. Her skin was soft pink mixed with gold. I have learned more from this one human in these few weeks than I have learned from any Valoran in my entire life, because he shows me what it's like to experience existence differently. He teaches me that there are other ways to think, to feel, to be. Chancellor Vex finally spoke. Princess, are you suggesting we're not superior to humans? I'm suggesting that superior is the wrong question. We're different. Both species have strengths and weaknesses. Valorans can share thoughts instantly. But we've never had to develop complex external communication systems. We can sense emotions, but we've never had to learn how to express them creatively. We have advantages, yes, but so do humans. The Emperor stood slowly. You make a compelling argument, daughter. But the question remains, can our 2 species coexist peacefully? Our ways are very different. Different doesn't mean incompatible, Yuna said firmly. Humans have been dealing with differences their entire existence. They have thousands of cultures on one planet, speaking thousands of languages, worshipping different gods, following different customs. And they've learned, slowly, painfully, to accept and celebrate those differences. She squeezed Taeyang's hand. We could learn from them. We could learn that sameness isn't required for harmony. We could learn that diversity creates strength, not weakness. The council discussed telepathically, colors flashing across dozens of skins. Finally, the Emperor spoke. The council is divided. Many agree with the princess. Many still have doubts. We will take time to consider these matters. He looked at Taeyang. You humans have given us much to think about. As the meeting ended, Taeyang felt hope rising in his chest. But Hana pulled him aside, her face worried. This is going to make some people very angry, she whispered. Vex and his supporters won't give up easily. They've built their whole identity on being superior. She was right. That night, Chancellor Vex held secret meetings with other conservative Valorans. And in those meetings, they made plans to prove once and for all that humans were too dangerous to tolerate. The explosion shook the palace at midnight. Taeyang woke to alarm screaming and Hana pounding on his door. Get up. We're under attack. He grabbed his uniform and weapon, his military training taking over. Outside, the crystal corridors were filled with smoke. Valorans ran in panic, their skin flashing white with fear. Ambassador Park met them in the hallway. It's a coup. Chancellor Vex's faction. They're calling themselves purists. They've taken control of the palace guard and they're blaming us for the explosion. Blaming us? Why would we attack our own delegation? Because they want an excuse to eliminate us. Park's face was grim. Get to the ship. Hana, evacuate everyone. I'll try to reach the Emperor. Kang Minho appeared with Dr. Suman. The hangar is blocked. They've got ships surrounding the Hansong's Pride. We're trapped. Through a window, Taeyang saw purist soldiers rounding up the human delegation members. His stomach dropped. Where's Princess Yuna? I don't know, Park said. Communications are down across the palace. We can't reach anyone in the royal family. Taeyang made a decision. I'm going to find her. That's suicide, Hana grabbed his arm. The palace is full of soldiers looking for humans. She helped us. I'm not leaving her. He checked his weapon. You focus on evacuating everyone else. I'll find the princess and get her somewhere safe. Before anyone could stop him, Taeyang ran toward the royal quarters. The palace had become a war zone. Purist soldiers fought against loyalists. Energy weapons left scorch marks on the crystal walls. Bodies lay in the corridors, their skin fading to gray. He found Princess Yuna in her chambers, surrounded by 3 purist soldiers. She was holding them off with some kind of energy shield, but it was flickering. She was exhausted, Taeyang didn't think. He just acted. He shot the first soldier with a stun blast. The second turned toward him and he rolled under the energy bolt, coming up inside the soldier's guard. A sharp elbow to the nerve cluster Suman had told him about, and the Valoran dropped. The third soldier was faster. He grabbed Taeyang and lifted him off the ground, strength enhanced by Valoran technology. But Taeyang knew human close combat techniques that Valorans had never needed. He twisted, found a pressure point, and the soldier's grip loosened enough for him to break free. Princess Yuna's shield dropped. She stared at him, her skin flashing through a dozen colors.
Taeyang!
You came back. Of course I did. He helped her stand. We need to get you somewhere safe. My father, I have to reach him. They ran through the burning palace together. Yuna knew secret passages that the purists hadn't found yet. Along the way, they encountered more loyalist forces. Yuna rallied them, organizing a defense. The purists are trying to reach the throne room, she explained. If they capture my father, they can claim legitimate authority. We have to stop them. They made it to the throne room just as Chancellor Vex was leading an assault. The Emperor stood with a handful of loyal guards, clearly injured. Vex's skin was dark red with triumph. It's over, Your Majesty. Surrender now and I'll allow you to live in exile. You're a traitor. Vex, history will remember you as the one who tore our empire apart. History will remember me as the one who saved it from contamination. Vex pointed at Princess Yuna. Your daughter has been corrupted by these humans. She wants to make us weak like them. I'm protecting our purity. By killing innocent people, Yuna stepped forward, her skin blazing gold with fury. By starting a civil war? You're the one making us weak. The throne room erupted into chaos. Purists and loyalists clashed. Energy weapons filled the air with deadly light. Taeyang grabbed the Emperor and pulled him behind cover. Thank you, human, the Emperor gasped. His skin was pale, fading. He was dying. Don't talk. Save your strength. No time. The Emperor gripped Taeyang's arm. Listen, Vex planned this. He orchestrated the explosion. He framed your people. He wants to use fear to gain power. You have to stop him. How? We're just a small delegation. We don't have an army. The Emperor's skin flickered one last time. You have something better. You have my daughter. And you have something we've lost. The ability to fight unpredictably. Use it. Then he died, his skin going completely gray. Princess Yuna felt it through their telepathic connection. She screamed, a sound that had no words, and the entire palace shook with her grief. Chancellor Vex laughed. The Emperor is dead. I claim authority as acting regent. Guards arrest the princess and kill all humans. But something happened that Vex hadn't expected. About half the purist forces didn't follow his orders. They had joined his coup because they believed in protecting Valoran purity, not because they wanted to murder a princess or start a war with another species. The purist faction began fighting among themselves. Vex's most loyal followers formed a tight group around him, but the moderates pulled back uncertain. Taeyang saw the opportunity. Hana, do you copy? Static, then Hana's voice came through. Barely. The communications are jammed, but I'm using a human frequency they don't know about. What do you need? Gather everyone. All our people and any Valorans willing to help. We're going on the offensive. Offensive? Tay, we're diplomats and scientists, not soldiers. We're humans. We adapt, get creative. Use tactics they won't expect. He looked at Dr. Suman. You studied their biology. What are their weaknesses? Suman thought fast. They rely on telepathy for coordination. If we can disrupt that somehow, they'll lose their tactical advantage. And they've never fought an enemy they couldn't read mentally. Perfect, Hana. Get some of our technical people to create electromagnetic interference. Make it so they can't use telepathy effectively in combat zones. Then use guerrilla tactics, hit and run, never where they expect, never the same tactic twice. Over the next few hours, the humans executed a plan that made no sense to the Valorans. Engineer Han Jisoo rigged portable devices that created psychic static. Anywhere humans placed these devices, Valoran telepathy became fuzzy and unreliable. Then the humans started attacking in ways that seemed random. They struck supply lines, communication nodes, power generators. They used stealth technology that Valorans had never bothered developing, because telepaths could always sense each other's presence, but they couldn't sense humans the same way. Kang Minho led teams in hit-and-run attacks, appearing from unexpected directions, using human martial arts that worked even against stronger opponents when applied correctly. Dr. Suman used her knowledge of Valoran physiology to create non-lethal weapons that incapacitated without killing. Most importantly, the humans were unpredictable. Velerans fought in coordinated patterns because telepathy allowed perfect communication, but humans fought in chaotic independent units that reacted to situations individually. It was messy, inefficient by Valoran standards, but impossible to predict. Princess Yuna watched in amazement as this small group of humans disrupted an entire faction of purist forces. "They're magnificent," she whispered. "They're desperate," Ambassador Park said, standing beside her. "And desperate humans are very dangerous." Chancellor Vex's forces began to fracture. Without clear telepathic coordination, without the ability to predict human movements, they lost confidence. More and more purists defected back to the loyalist side. Finally, Vex stood nearly alone. His skin flashed between rage red and fear purple. "This isn't over. Even if you win today, there will be others who believe as I do. Velerans are superior. We don't need inferior species." Princess Yuna stepped forward, her skin calm blue. "No, Vex, we don't need to be superior. We just need to be open to learning from others. That's what my father understood. That's what you never will." Vex made one last desperate move. He pulled out a weapon and aimed it at Taeyang. But he never got the shot off. An energy bolt from behind struck him down. The shooter was one of his own former followers, a Veleran who had realized the truth. The coup was over. But the palace was destroyed. Hundreds were dead, and Earth's reinforcement fleet was still weeks away. Princess Yuna looked at the devastation around her. "We've won the battle, but the war for Valoran hearts and minds is just beginning." Taeyang took her hand. "Then we fight that war together. Humans are good at winning people over. We've had to be." She managed a small smile, her skin showing the faintest hint of gold among the sad blues. "Show me how." And so the next phase began. Not a battle of weapons, but a battle of ideas. The palace took 3 months to rebuild. During that time, something unexpected happened. Young Velerans started seeking out the humans, asking questions, wanting to learn about this species that had helped defeat the purists. Dr. Suman started teaching classes on human biology and culture. Kang Minho trained Valoran security forces in non-telepathic combat techniques. Engineer Jisu showed them human technology. Simple, robust designs that worked without relying on advanced materials. And Taeyang spent every day with Princess Yuna, helping her lead the rebuilding effort. She was Empress now, though she hadn't held a formal coronation yet. The High Council supported her, but there was still tension. "Some of them will never accept humans," Yuna said one evening as they walked through the reconstructed gardens. Her skin showed tired blue mixed with determined gold. "Chancellor Vex had more supporters than we realized. They're quiet now, but they haven't changed their minds." "Change takes time," Taeyang said. "On Earth, it took centuries for different human cultures to accept each other. Some still struggle with it. We don't have centuries. If we're going to create a lasting alliance between Valora and Earth, we need something strong to bind our peoples together, something symbolic." She stopped walking and turned to face him. Her skin shifted through several colors before settling on soft pink. "Taeyang, there's something I want to ask you, but I need you to think carefully before answering." His heart started beating faster. "What is it?" "Marry me." The words hung in the air between them. Taeyang's mind went blank for several seconds. What? Marry me? By both our customs. A formal union that shows our peoples can truly come together." Her skin flickered uncertainly. "Unless you don't want to." "Want to?" "Yuna, I've wanted that since the first moment you spoke to me, but..." He struggled to find words. "The politics of this. The complications. Are you sure?" "I'm sure that I love you. I'm sure that you've shown me what it means to experience life from a completely different perspective. I'm sure that together we can build something better than what either of our worlds has alone." She took both his hands. "The politics will be difficult. The complications will be enormous. But isn't that what humans do? Isn't that what you taught me? You face impossible challenges anyway." Taeyang laughed, feeling tears in his eyes. "You've learned too much from us. Is that a yes?" "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Her skin exploded into colors he had never seen. Brilliant golds and pinks and new shades that had no names. She pulled him close, and for the first time they kissed. It was awkward because their mouths were slightly different shapes, but it was also perfect. The next day, Princess Yuna announced her intention to marry the human Kim Taeyang. The reaction was immediate and intense. On Valora, the High Council split. Half supported the match as a powerful symbol of the new alliance. Half opposed it as a degradation of the royal bloodline. Protests erupted in the streets. Some Velerans celebrated, others rioted. On Earth, the response was equally divided. Some humans were proud that one of their own had won the heart of an alien empress. Others worried that Taeyang was being used as a political tool. The Earth government held emergency meetings. Ambassador Park called Taeyang into her office. "Are you absolutely certain about this? Once you marry her, you'll never be just a soldier from Seoul again. You'll be a symbol, a political figure. Your life won't be your own." "I know," Taeyang said quietly, "but I love her. And maybe our relationship can help both our peoples learn to see past their differences." Park sighed. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish." "Possibly both," she smiled slightly. "For what it's worth, I support you. I think you two are good together." Lieutenant Hana was less diplomatic. "You're insane. You know that, right? Completely insane." "Probably. But I'll stand beside you anyway. That's what best friends do." She hugged him tightly. "Try not to start any more wars, okay?" Dr. Suman had a different concern.
Have you thought about the biological complications?
"You're different species. Can you even? Is it physically possible to?" "Suman, I'm just saying there are medical considerations. And if you wanted children someday we've talked about it," Taeyang said. "We know it won't be easy, but there are options. Adoption, genetic engineering, or just being together without children. We'll figure it out." But Suman had been working on something. Late one night, she called Taeyang to her lab with barely contained excitement. "I think I found something," she said, pulling up DNA scans. "Veleran and human genetics are more compatible than we thought. Not naturally. You still can't have biological children together without help. But with some genetic editing, it might be possible. The embryo would need careful monitoring and there would be risks, but it's not impossible." Taeyang stared at the scans. "You're saying we could have a child? A real child with both our DNA? In theory. It would be the first hybrid of our species. The first bridge between two worlds," Suman's eyes shone. "Assuming you both want that," he did. And when he told Yuna, her skin lit up like a star. But not everyone was happy about the possibilities. A new group of purist holdouts attempted to sabotage the wedding plans. They planted explosives in the venue. They spread false information about humans. They even tried to assassinate Taeyang twice. The second assassination attempt was stopped by an unlikely source. Chancellor Vex's former second-in-command, a Veleran named Speaker Nix. He had fought for the purists during the coup, but had surrendered when he realized Vex's true nature. "I don't agree with this marriage," Nix said, his skin showing honest confusion. "I don't understand how different species can truly bond. But I've seen what violence costs. My brother died in the palace battle, fighting for a cause that was built on hate. I won't allow more death." Princess Yuna offered Nix a position in her new government. "I don't need everyone to agree with me. I need people who are willing to keep our world safe and give new ideas a chance to work." Nix accepted, though his skin showed he was still uncertain. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet arrived, 3 ships carrying diplomats, scientists and journalists who would cover the wedding. Admiral Shin Dae-hyun, commanding the fleet, met privately with Taeyang. "Son, you've done something incredible here. The alliance you've helped build, it's going to change humanity's place in the galaxy. We were alone for so long. Now we have friends among the stars. I just followed my heart, sir. Sometimes that's enough." The Admiral smiled. "Your parents are on my ship, by the way. They insisted on coming for the wedding." Taeyang's mother cried when she saw him. His father just held him for a long time. "We're proud of you," his father said. "Scared for you, but proud. Will you walk me down the aisle?" Taeyang asked. "In the human part of the ceremony?" "I would be honored." The day before the wedding, Princess Yuna had one more surprise. She took Taeyang to Dr. Suman's lab, where the scientist had set up a special device. "It's a neural interface," Suman explained. "Temporary and limited, but it will let you experience a version of Valoran telepathic bonding. You'll be able to share emotions with Yuna during the ceremony. Not thoughts, but feelings. It's the closest we can get to the traditional Veleran wedding ritual." Taeyang looked at the device nervously. "Will it hurt?" "A little. But you've endured worse," he had. And he would endure this too for her. That night, Taeyang couldn't sleep. He stood on his balcony looking at the alien stars, thinking about how his life had changed. A year ago, he was just a soldier. Nobody important. Nobody special. Now he was about to marry an empress and help unite two worlds. Hana found him there. Cold feet? Terrified feet. Frozen solid feet, she laughed. That's normal. I'd worry if you weren't scared. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not good enough for her for this role? Tay, you passed 3 impossible trials. You survived a coup. You helped defeat the purists. I think you'll manage being a husband. She squeezed his shoulder. Besides, she chose you. Trust her judgment, he smiled. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just never listened. The next morning, Taeyang put on a uniform that combined human and Valoran designs, Korean military dress mixed with flowing Valoran robes. His hands shook as he fastened the clasps. His father helped him. Your mother and I never imagined this for you. But life surprises us. I love her, Dad, I know. That's why this will work. The ceremony would take place on neutral ground, a space station built jointly by both species specifically for this occasion. It was called Unity Station, and it would become a symbol of cooperation. As Taeyang walked toward the ceremony hall, surrounded by guards from both worlds, he thought about that first night. When he had whispered a foolish wish, never expecting it to come true, Princess Yuna had heard him. And she had decided to make the impossible possible. Now they would finish what they started together. Unity Station floated in space between Earth and Valora's homeworld, exactly halfway between both systems. It had taken 8 months to build, a joint construction project that employed workers from both species. The station itself was beautiful. Human geometric efficiency blended with Valoran artistic curves, creating something neither species could have built alone. Taeyang stood in a preparation room, adjusting his ceremonial outfit for the 100th time. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. You look good, Kang Minho said, straightening Taeyang's collar. Strange, but good. Thanks, I think. Ambassador Park entered, followed by Admiral Shin. The guests are arriving, representatives from 40 different species. This is the most significant diplomatic event in human history. No pressure, Taeyang muttered. Park smiled. You've handled pressure before. This is just a lot more witnesses. Dr. Suman came in carrying the neural interface device. Time to get this set up. Sit down. Taeyang sat. Suman carefully placed small sensors on his temples. They tingled slightly as they activated. The connection will activate during the ceremony, she explained. When you and Yuna exchange vows, the device will create a limited empathic link. You'll feel what she feels and she'll feel what you feel. It only lasts for about 5 minutes, but it should be enough for the Valoran bonding ritual. What if I feel something embarrassing? Then she'll know. That's kind of the point, Suman grinned. Don't worry. Love is never embarrassing. Lieutenant Hana appeared in the doorway wearing a formal military uniform. It's time. Everyone's waiting. Taeyang stood. His legs felt weak. His father appeared and offered his arm. Ready, son? No, but let's do it anyway. They walked through the station corridors toward the ceremony hall. Through windows, Taeyang could see both Earth and Valora in the distance. Two worlds about to be connected by something as simple and complex as love. The ceremony hall was enormous. Thousands of seats arranged in a circle around a central platform. Representatives from dozens of species filled those seats, some humanoid, some definitely not. Valorans sat on one side, their skin shifting through various colors. Humans sat on the other, looking both proud and nervous. Music played, a composition written specifically for this event, combining human instruments with Valoran harmonic technology. It was beautiful and strange and perfect. Taeyang walked to the center platform with his father. He looked up and saw Yuna approaching from the opposite side. She was stunning. Her ceremonial robes flowed around her like liquid light. Her skin glowed with soft gold and pink colors. She moved with grace and confidence, but when their eyes met, he saw the same nervousness he felt. They met in the center. Their fathers stepped back. The ceremony began with the human tradition. A human official spoke about the meaning of marriage. Partnership, commitment, love that chooses to grow stronger every day. Taeyang spoke his vows in Korean, and a translator shared them with the crowd. Yuna, when I first saw you, I didn't understand what I was feeling. You were so different from anything I had known. But you taught me that different doesn't mean distant. You showed me that love can cross any boundary if both people are willing to build a bridge. I promise to keep building that bridge with you. Every day. For the rest of my life. His voice shook, but he got through it. Then came the Valoran tradition. Yuna spoke in her own language, her voice like music, and Taeyang felt the meaning directly in his mind. Taeyang, you came from a world I didn't understand, a species I thought was beneath mine, but you proved that worth isn't measured by the abilities you're born with. It's measured by what you do with what you have. You showed me bravery, creativity, and love so pure it needed no telepathy to be understood. I promise to honor your humanity, to learn from your differences and to build a future where both our peoples can thrive together. Then came the moment Taeyang had been both anticipating and dreading. The neural interface activated. Suddenly he felt her. Not her thoughts, those stayed private, but her emotions flooded through him like warm water. Love so intense it made his chest hurt, joy that lit up every nerve, fear of the future mixed with hope, nervousness about the thousands of eyes watching them, and underneath it all, bone-deep certainty that this was right. Yuna gasped. She was feeling his emotions too. His love for her, his awe at her strength, his fear of failing her, his determination to be worthy of her choice, his gratitude for everything she had taught him about seeing the universe differently. Their hands found each other without planning. Her skin was warm, shifting rapidly through colors as she processed the flood of his feelings. I can feel you, she whispered. All of you. I feel you too, he whispered back. You're amazing. The official pronounced them married by both traditions. The crowd erupted in applause, humans clapping, Valorans displaying colors of celebration. Some species made sounds Taeyang didn't have names for, but the meaning was clear. Joy, hope, celebration. Taeyang and Yuna kissed. It was their third kiss ever. And with the neural link still active, it felt like their emotions were combining, creating something new that was neither human nor Valoran, but both at once. When the link finally faded 5 minutes later, Taeyang felt its loss like losing a part of himself, but Yuna squeezed his hand. That's what my people feel all the time, she said. Now you understand why we value it so much. And now you understand why humans fight so hard to express what we feel. Because we live with that absence every day, she smiled. We'll teach each other. That's what marriage is, isn't it? The reception lasted for hours. Humans and Valorans mingled, talking, sharing food, learning about each other. There were awkward moments, cultural misunderstandings, communication difficulties, a few arguments. But there was also laughter, curiosity, and genuine effort from both sides. Admiral Shin gave a toast. Today we witnessed something unprecedented. Two people from two worlds choosing to become one family. Let this union be the first of many bridges we build between our peoples. Speaker Nix gave a toast too, though his skin showed conflicted colors. I admit I had doubts. I still have doubts. But I also have hope. Perhaps that's enough to start with. When the celebration finally ended, Taeyang and Yuna retreated to their quarters, a space designed for both species, with adjustments to accommodate different needs. Tired? Yuna asked, her skin showing peaceful blue. Exhausted, happy, terrified, everything at once. She laughed. That sounds about right. They stood on their balcony looking at the stars. Earth hung in space on one side, Valora on the other, two worlds watching their children take a leap into an unknown future. What happens now? Taeyang asked. Now we live, we work. We make mistakes and learn from them. We show our peoples that this can work. She leaned against him, and eventually maybe we start a family. Dr. Suman says it's possible. A child, half human, half Valoran. A child who belongs to both worlds, who can teach others that you don't have to choose between species. You can embrace both. Taeyang thought about that. A child who would grow up bilingual, bicultural, able to see the universe through two completely different perspectives. It wouldn't be easy. Nothing about their relationship was easy, but it would be worth it. 5 years passed. Unity Station grew into a thriving city in space. Thousands of humans and Valorans lived there together, working, learning, building a shared culture. There were still problems, disagreements, misunderstandings, occasional violence from extremists on both sides. But the problems got smaller each year. On Valora, Princess Yuna, now Empress Yuna, led her people toward greater openness. The High Council included human advisors now. Valoran schools taught human history and philosophy. Young Valorans traveled to Earth to study, and young humans traveled to Valora. On Earth, humanity's confidence grew. They were no longer the newest, most primitive species in the galaxy. They were partners with one of the most advanced civilizations known. Trade flourished. Technology improved. Earth entered a golden age. And in a private residence on Unity Station, Taeyang held his daughter for the first time. She was beautiful. She had Yuna's large eyes but Taeyang's facial structure. Her skin shifted colors like a Velarin's, but more subtly. She had black hair like a human, but it seemed to shimmer with iridescent undertones. "She's perfect," Yuna whispered, her skin glowing with maternal gold. "She's impossible," Taeyang said, tears running down his face. "We created an impossible thing." Dr. Suman stood nearby, monitoring the baby's vital signs with pride. "She's healthy, strong. Her hybrid biology is working better than I hoped." The baby opened her eyes. They were brown like Taeyang's, but flecked with colors that changed. She looked at her father and her skin rippled with curiosity pink. Then she made a sound. Not quite a cry, not quite a Valoran harmonic. Something new. "What should we name her?" Yuna asked. Taeyang had been thinking about this. "Hana, after my best friend. The one who always stood by me." Lieutenant Hana, who was waiting outside, started crying when she heard the news. "You named her after me? You helped make this possible. You protected us, supported us. You believed in us even when it seemed crazy." Hana held the baby carefully, amazed. "She's going to change the world, Tay. She already has." On baby Hana's first birthday, something remarkable happened. She displayed her first independent color shift, bright, happy gold, while simultaneously speaking her first word in Korean.